Welcome back to another Females and Football Events interview. Hope everyone is well. And today we have Kat Mace, who has agreed to be interviewed today. Kat played for Maidenhead United Women. And am I right in saying you play in the midfield?
Yeah, I'm a winger. Although, because I'm not playing at the moment, I might have a place to compete for when I go back.
Really? On the left or right, which is
left.
your...
Well, preferred left, but I play on the right sometimes as well.
Nice. So what, are you left-footed or?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're gold dust, basically.
Well, yeah. We're actually quite lucky on our team at the moment. We've got quite a few lefties. So
have you?
Hands off, there are.
And from your experience within, obviously, the men's game, the more right-footed players than left. Is it something similar in the women's game as well?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's kind of rare. There's always a bit of a moment where you meet another lefty.
Yeah. Well, there's a secret handshake, is there?
Oh yeah, we don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it. And then obviously you play for Maidenhead United Women, but when you're not donning the black and white stripes of Maidenhead, you're working behind the scenes in film and media. Is that right?
Yeah, in television, like factual TV mostly. So documentaries, like science and history, kind of mostly.
Yeah. Nice. What came first, football or that?
I've always kind of loved both sport and media. And I think when it gets to that stage at school, when you have to kind of pick one, I was like, oh, well, I could probably do TV. You can't do TV as a hobby, basically, whereas I could keep doing football unendingly. So I chose that as my first. I'll try that, basically, and then see how it goes. But yeah, it's always been a bit of a toss-up between the two.
Sure. Nice. So, Kat, we have 10 questions for you. Mm-hmm. But before we start, I always like to ask the question, when playing football, how does that make you feel?
Oh. You know what it's like? When you're playing football, only football exists. And, like, it doesn't matter if you've had the worst day imaginable or the best day. Like, you get on the pitch and the slate is clean and it's all you care about for 90 minutes. Yeah. And there's just something really freeing about that. And I think, you know, particularly if you do something well in a game, then there's just no feeling quite like it. Like, I can't I can't emulate that in another situation. So yeah, I'd say that's how it feels.
Yeah, wow, that's powerful. I tend to agree with you there. But for 90 minutes or however long I'm playing, the rest of the world doesn't really exist. It's what's happening on that pitch for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. Cool. All right, so first question. So when did you first realise you had a footballing talent?
I would say probably in the secondary school kind of time. Like, I played football before that. My brother taught me. My first lesson at football was my brother went to like an Arsenal goalkeeping camp when he was about 7. And a few things rubbed off on him. And his number one lesson was, don't be afraid of the ball. So he put me in goal, put the ball on the penalty spot, absolutely hoofed it. And it went straight in my face. Not on purpose. But I was like, I wasn't afraid of the ball. And so from then on, me and my brother would play all the time. But yeah, it was at secondary school, really, when there's that kind of weird split. I used to play with the boys all the time at school, you know, before school, break time, lunchtime, after school, during lessons sometimes. Yeah. And yeah, that was the kind of first moment, I guess, a bunch of boys had just accepted me for playing football, whereas normally there's a bit like, oh, you're a girl, why are you playing football? And that there wasn't that.
Were you the only girl in the class to do that?
Yeah. Right. Which I think is quite a common trait for lots of like women in football. But it was the first time where I was kind of immediately accepted on footballing ability. And then, when I was about 15, there's that weird split when boys and girls are separated in PE. And you do separate sports, so there's a bit of a rift then. I couldn't really play football with them like I was doing before. So I just emailed the local team, Maidenhead, and said, can I come down? Did one training session, absolutely loved it. And was like, oh, there's a whole world of women playing football that I didn't know about.
Wow.
So
yeah. You're Maidenhead through and through, basically.
Yeah. I've spent a few years away from it doing other stuff, but yeah, more or less, I was born in Maidenhead, and yeah.
So who supported you on your journey in those early stages? So was it parents that supported you through that, or someone else?
I'd say so. That first team I joined, my parents, I mean, they would pick me up, drop me off at every session. They'd be there every football match on the sideline. Both my mum and dad, and a lot of other mums and dads on the teams as well. We kind of lift share. So if one week one parent couldn't take someone, the others would kind of dive in. And our coach, he's one of my friend's dads. He was really instrumental in like giving me confidence in my ability, because back then it was kind of, oh, I'll run a little bit and then I'll pass because I don't want to hog the ball. And he was like, just go.
Yeah.
Which is what I needed at that age. I needed building up. And so I would say, yeah, both of those people, so my parents and that first coach that I had in a kind of coaching environment.
Yeah, nice. I mean, it kind of leads into my next question is, I mean, so who do you look to for inspiration? Do you still kind of think back to then, or is there somebody now that you look to maybe for inspiration or even advice?
Yeah, I'd say there are a few people on our team actually I think are quite good in that respect. Amy Saunders is our captain, and she has been with Maidenhead right from the very beginning. So if you think I'm Maidenhead through and through, then you meet Amy. But you know, over the years she's taken on quite a lot of responsibility with the club, and she just gets it. Like if you're having a bad day, you can talk to her. And I say, so she's someone I look up to. You know, she has a job outside of football, but she's always there and always got time for football. And looking at players in like top flight football as well, I'd say people like Fran Kirby or Jordan Nobbs, who've come back from injury, especially at the moment. For me, that's a big thing. I'm injured at the moment, so kind of drawing any inspiration and I can from them to have a little bit of energy to tackle rehab is
so
quite inspiring.
While you're going through this rehab stage, how are you keeping yourself positive?
It's actually quite tricky. This is an injury so I've got proximal hamstring tendinopathy, which is essentially, if you imagine like a bit of string, has lots of different strands, and tendinopathy just means the strands kind of separate and your tendon becomes really weak. So the only way to really combat that is just constant strength training to get it back to where it should be. But very few people really know how to help you with that. So it does feel a little bit like, you know, it's all on you to do it. There are a lot of podcasts.
As in the expertise is not there, or the clubs.
Yeah, both, I think.
As well?
Yeah. So I think that even a lot of like physio, I've seen about 3 or 4 physios, and they all have, as they always do, a different opinion. But there are a lot of podcasts that I've listened to actually, which have been most helpful. And a Facebook group set up by a few physios specifically for this injury, which is just like really good at bringing you back up when you're like, oh, I'm not getting anywhere, I haven't felt any change in 3 months, and you just log onto the Facebook group and there's 800 other people.
And what's that Facebook group called? So give them a plug. This is your opportunity to. I
mean, I think it's something really like the name of it. So proximal hamstring tendinopathy support group, I think, is just what it's called.
Well, we'll work out the spelling of it after, and I'll put it as a link on the video. Going sideways a little bit and just putting on the spot. When playing football, what do you prefer? Playing on grass or playing on Astro?
Oh, grass every time.
Even midwinter and when it's chucking down with rain and it's turned to mud, or? Yeah,
well, in our league, we don't really get that. In fact, that's quite annoying. So, I mean, ordinarily, given the option, I guess I would say grass. You can slide on it. There's a bit more bounce to it. Right. I just love it. every time we've played on an Astro on a 3G pitch, I come away with a dodgy ankle. But in wintertime, we have a lot of games cancelled because of waterlogged pitches and whatnot. So if it came between choosing no game or a game on AstroTurf, I'd choose the AstroTurf for sure.
So again, so when preparing for a game, what works best for you? Music, meditation, or mates?
It's a bit of a mix, to be honest. For me, I'm quite on the way to a game. I can be quite chatty, and so just chatting to your mates. But then when I'm in the changing room, it's kind of when I switch on, and I go into myself a little bit because I just need to G myself up for the game. And I like there to be music playing in the changing room for everyone else, but for me, it's just that opportunity to like think about what my job is, and just kind of get rid of the nerves. I think
the nerves. Well, that's my next question. So within the dressing room, what's the atmosphere like? Is everybody really buzzy and geared up? Do you kind of get everybody reared up, or is it quite calm? People nervous? Does the coach come in, wise words, and then off you go?
Yeah. So normally it's quite chatty. I think the moment the manager comes in is when, that's when things get serious, and you listen to your job. He plots all the things on the board, like you're here, your job is to do this. So you're just soaking up all the information, and that's when it's like a job for the next 2 hours or whatever. So it's all fun and games kind of beforehand until that moment the coach walks in.
And then does it vary depending on who you're playing? So if it's a grudge match, or if it's you think, we'll have them today, it's a lot more relaxed.
Yeah. We've actually, so on this Sunday coming up, we're playing Chesham, who are in our league, and we've played them twice already, I think. And they're quite local to us in terms of the Southwest. They're very local to us. And I wouldn't say it's a grudge match, but it's always a great battle. It is war in the best possible way. Everyone gets stuck in them, bodies on the line. Exactly. It's so good to watch. So we play them in the FA Cup. I know there is that. We've got them in the FA Cup on Sunday, so
great.
We'll see what happens.
So after the match, is it night out with the team, or is it early to bed?
I don't know about everyone on our team, but I would say the majority of us are probably early to bed. We play on a Sunday. Often we play all over the Southwest, so we won't get home till 7 or 8, maybe in the evening, and we've all got work on Monday morning. So we're quite, I think a lot of us are early to bed.
So game's over for the weekend. When you're not playing football, what do you do?
Ordinarily, not injured, I could kind of I'd go for a walk, to be honest, whether I'm playing or not, or depending on how many minutes on the pitch I've had, I might go to the gym to kind of fill in the rest of the 90 minutes. But it's kind of just your rest and recuperation time. So I'd eat a nice meal, come home, watch some TV, and just really chill out, give everything a bit of a rest. As I say, early to bed because I've got work the next morning.
So you were saying earlier before on that you work in the media and film industry. So how does that balance work between your football commitments and work commitments?
Sometimes it's been a bit of a challenge. I would say my work have been pretty supportive. I'm a freelancer, so I kind of dot between companies all the time. So sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to start a company and say, oh, by the way, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I need to leave at this time. And if there's some other football event, then I need to go to or whatever, then I need to leave early. And most of the time they're fine with that. But it can be a real challenge, particularly because my work, sometimes it'll turn out that in 2 days' time you're shooting in Wales, or you're going to go to Nottingham for 2 days and film something there. So that will take me away from football. And the beginning of last year, I went to live and work in Bristol for 6 to 8 weeks, I think it was, which obviously meant time away from training. So when you get back to training properly, I was in the gym every day, but coming back to actual training in a team environment means you've kind of got to really push for your place on that squad again, that starting 11, because you've been away for 6 to 8 weeks. So it's tough, but I think in some way it's tough for quite a lot of people if you're working alongside football.
Yeah. So I guess it's lucky that you're freelance because there's a bit more flexibility there. Is that right?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, at the moment, I'm not working, though that might soon change. So at the moment, yeah, got great flexibility. I can go to the gym whenever I want. And yeah, I think in TV, it's when you're working full on, and you commit to working all the hours and days necessary to get the job done.
Yeah.
But in between jobs, yeah, you can often have weeks off, which obviously helps.
Yeah, great. So Kat, as we come towards the end of the questions, I'd like you to end on basically asking you what your key message would be for female players on their footballing journey. So any inspirational thoughts, ideas, or advice?
I would say to young players, I would say I took a few years out of football, and when I came back, I struggled to reach the level that I was kind of when I left. So I would say, if you know you're going to come back to football at some point, always keep it ticking over. Don't do what I did and do a hard out for 2 years and then come back. I had a lot of injuries and stuff when I came back for that reason, and I kind of regret it now. Can't change it now, but yeah, I think I would be a better footballer for having not taken those 3 years out.
Yeah, and I guess one of the options would be maybe joining a recreational team.
Yeah, exactly, and not taking it seriously, which I did eventually, because I realised how much my mental health was actually wrapped up in football, which I hadn't realised at the time until it was gone. I was like, better get back to football.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's a really powerful one, mental health, because the amount of people I've spoken to have said footballers almost save their lives.
Yeah.
That's not too dramatic.
No, absolutely it has. And it's what I said earlier at the beginning about that 90 minutes, nothing else exists.
Yeah.
So, and the same as so at training, and also, it gets you meeting people, it gives you a bit of resilience, it's what all of the skills you learn at football transfer into your everyday life.
Completely agree with you. And I keep on referring back to the FA's 4 corners, which the physical, technical, psychological, and social. I mean, that's just people in a nutshell, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess my biggest bit of advice is for women. I think confidence can be a big thing, because when we're young, we're always the only girl, so there's always people looking at us wondering if we're good enough. You are good enough.
Yeah.
Ignore everyone else. I think we need to be built up as in confidence, maybe more so than in the men's game, and you are good enough, and just keep going, keep at it, because you'll get there. I think that's the best advice I can probably give.
Kat Mace, that's brilliant. Wonderful. Thank you very much for agreeing to be with us.
Oh, no, pleasure, Sonny.
I wish you all the best in your recovery, and hopefully you're back on the lush green grass very soon.
Me too.
Kat, many thanks.
Cheers, Sonny.
Cheers.